Good evening, and so here we are here for the
Yeah,
study circle. And if Chitwaji, you feel comfortable, if you can start with your sharing, we'll take it from there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is from Collected Works of Mother, volume number 9, 64, 65. I am reading from one of the small book, Living Words, but it shows that reference actually. First, Sri Aurobindo's, like Sri Aurobindo's sayings are given. I will read that. Mother gave the explanation for that saying actually. Unceasing effort for progress. The delight of victory is, this is by Sri Aurobindo, delight of victory is sometimes less than the attraction of struggle and suffering. Nevertheless, the laurel and not the cross should be the aim of the conquering human soul. Souls that do not aspire are God's failures, but nature is pleased and loves to multiply them because they assure her of stability and prolong her empire. Those who are poor, ignorant, ill-born, or ill-bred are not the common herd. These are all separate, but Mother gave whole explanation actually. The common head are all who are satisfied with pettiness and an average humanity. Then help men, but do not pauperize them of their energy. Lead and instruct men, but see that their initiative and originality remain intact. Take others into thyself, but give them in return the full godhead of their nature. He who can do this is the leader and the guru. God has made the world a field of battle and filled it with the trampling of combatants and the cries of a great wrestle and struggle. Would you flinch his peace without paying the price he has fixed for it? Distrust a perfect seeming success, but when having succeeded, thou findest still much to do. Rejoice and go forward, for the labor is long before the real perfection. There is no more benumbing error than to mistake a stage for the goal or to linger too long in a resting place. This is all by Sri Aurobindo. Mother
Chitwaji,
gave,
it went really fast. So, would you want to say a sentence on each, like the ones, especially the ones you could relate with or found
yeah,
useful?
actually, yeah, this one I will, help men, but do not pauperize them of their energy. Pauperize, Pauperize. Correct, no? My pronunciation, pauperize.
Yeah.
Okay. Lead and instruct men, but see that their initiative and originality remain intact. Take others into thyself, but give them in return the full godhead of their nature. He who can do this is the leader and the guru. Yeah, this one I like very much actually.
Yeah, and if you could just share why you like that particular one, because it's really
Yeah,
interesting to know.
yeah. Do not pauperize them of their energy means, even we last time we discussed about the charity also, no? Yeah. If we give, for the purpose of giving something, it is not, worth doing it, no, actually. Because at least we can, make them to do some work and regarding the poor people and all, because he is talking, Sri Aurobindo is, of course, he's talking about a high aim, higher aim, but see that their initiative and originality remain intact. Yeah, this applies in all level, no?
Yeah, and this
Originality.
is so tough, because whenever we see any spiritual leader as such,
Mm,
especially talking about these days,
mm,
we see that all the followers, like most of the followers, are a replica of the guru, right? If the guru is keeping long hair,
mm.
irrespective of whether they want to or not, that thing is there that you just become a copy.
Yeah.
which seems strange, but of course I think maybe for them the reason is that the love is so much that they want everything. I mean, that's what I tell myself. But for to actually help and yet, you know, allow them or encourage them to have their own individuality
Yeah.
is really tough, and it's quite beautiful, because otherwise it
Yeah.
would not be a personal victory, right? Not a personal journey. It's just that they're joining somebody else's,
Yeah.
or yeah.
Yeah, that's why Mother and Sri Aurobindo also every time they told, not to worship them, but follow their, follow and bring that inner truth of each and every one, no? That they emphasize that one. Yeah. So I like this. I will read Mother's explanation for this whole things. It's very simple and beautiful, actually. I will read that first para. All that Sri Aurobindo says here is aimed at fighting against human nature with its inertia, its heaviness, laziness, easy satisfactions, hostility to all effort. How many times in life does one meet people who become pacifists because they are afraid to fight, who long for rest before they have earned it, who are satisfied with a little progress, and in their imagination and desires make it into a marvelous realization so as to justify their stopping halfway. Yes. This is also, yeah, only, I don't know. Maybe in some other, spiritual followers, in some other principles, no, they may insist upon that if you find that inner truth, no, with that everything finishes actually. No, in this path, integral yoga path, especially only after that progress starts, no, actually. That is the thing. That is the beauty of this path. I felt like that. Further, she said, in ordinary life already, this happens so much. Indeed, this is the bourgeois ideal which has deadened mankind and made man into what is he is now. Work while you are young, accumulate wealth, honor, position. Be provident, have a little foresight, but something by lay up a capital, become an official, so that later when you are 40, you can sit down, enjoy your income, and later your pension, and as they say, enjoy a well-earned rest. To sit down, to stop on the way, not to move forward, to go to sleep, to go downhill towards the grave before one's time, cease to live the purpose of life, to sit down. This is Mother's explanation actually. You can also share, yeah.
Yeah, Chitraji, would you want to just like summarize it, because some people had joined late and it was a very long reading in your thinking. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
I mean, you can,
Because
if you want, you can keep it down and whatever, just even one or two things that meant more to you, if you can just say those, that would be great.
Mother emphasized the fact because not to sit down actually with the, earn something and save something for the life and take rest for further time and not to, progress. This is the thing all ordinary people will do, it seems actually. But this is not the way. You have to progress, you have to go forward, march forward. It is her explanation, Mother's explanation. Of course, Mother also found Auroville at the age of, I think 80, 85, no? Yeah. And this is the thing. The minute one stops going forward, one falls back. This is her explanation for all these Sri Aurobindo's Abha reasons, no? All these things, actually, all the sayings. So maybe others can share little, yeah, about this going forward, moving forward, forever progressing. Yeah.
The
Others
one
also.
thing that's coming to me right away is, you know, I'd read this, that we all have seeds, right, for each and everything.
Yeah.
but like there's something in us that wants to tell us that, you won't be able to do it, or in this lifetime it's not possible. And especially I see a lot of like elderly people saying this, that you need so much determination or will that after a point of time it's not possible. But mother had very clearly said that because the nature does not want you to progress.
Yeah.
So these are the things that are thrown at you, and you take them that as yours, that yes, I can't do it, I've crossed that threshold or whatever, but you have to walk forward. Like accepting this is not all right.
Maybe it is the beauty of this path. I think so. Personally, I feel so actually. Because you won't feel, I mean, you won't feel never, even that age, no, age also you feel just a number. That feeling will come actually. Yeah.
If whoever would want to go next, either comments on what Chitra ji said or your own sharing for today. Captain, I don't know how I'm supposed to address you, Captain Karak. Yeah, so you'll have to unmute if you would like to share.
Other day I was going through the newspaper, Times of India, and there's one speaking tree. It comes every day except Sunday. So this was the article. So there, this Mr. Pulkit Sharma, he has mentioned the topic of the topic was facing your loss with courage helps you heal. Facing your loss with courage helps you heal. This is about the pandemic and all which are taking place. So but here there is a quote of Sri Aurobindo. I'll just read this out. Sri Aurobindo suggested that when confronted with such adverse circumstances, we must keep faith that we are not the most fundamental thing in our existence. They are just superficial aberrations, bouts of darkness, and once we meet them with faith, persistence, and equanimity, the immense power that had hold over us begins to diminish. When we confront these aberrations while keeping our faith in the divine, initially we may feel overwhelmed, but slowly the intensity of our emotions comes down. And then gradually there is peace, clarity, and wisdom. So, like my take is this, that every day in our life, our normal life, we face different types of situations and which comes and disturbs us from our chosen path. So at times, the intensity of that is so much that we start thinking that probably, uh, I am not in a position to progress. So probably at that time, we think that some amount of light or some amount of guidance or should come forward, because the way we have been brought up in every situation, what has happened is we have been helped in every aspect. Like when you're students, so there is a private tuition, and there is if somebody has the in the in ashram or something, so there is a guruji as guiding and all this. But here, what has happened is that what we have the inner strength in us, so that we have to discover, and it is an individual path. Like earlier, it was told that our originality, what I am original, so that I have recognized, and from that originality, I should not be deviating at all. Means I should be. So that light is required. So without light, so we will not be able to move forward. So we have to keep our strength and the goal intact, and we have to move forward.
Yes, absolutely. And it goes in line with what Chitra ji had also shared, keeping the originality, and we have to progress. Yeah. So, I had also, but do you have anything more, right, that you'll want to share right
Yeah,
now?
yeah, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sir, if there's anything else, please, you can share.
Uh, so it's very difficult to find the truth, in myself. Though from the different scriptures, we have been told that we have got enormous power, it is within. So that looking within and discovering that, so it's a very hard task. It may take a few lives more or something. At times it becomes like this. You do not know, you cannot measure, we do not know whether I am progressing. That becomes a very difficult propositions. So the truth is very small actually, because because truth is only one. Whereas the same topic, if it is lies or untruth, so it can be many. So it is very easy actually that way. That you can take shortcut. If the real truth we can perceive, that yes, this is the real truth. That way, because the others are wrong. Like in today's world, there are a lot of fake news comes. So fake news can be plenty, but the truth should be only one. The truth is only one. So if somebody knows the truth, so he'll not be disturbed. He or she will not be disturbed about the fake news which is surrounding us every day, and we have to face it. So that is the in the life, the truth once we establish, and we have that the divine courage to go forward, then probably we'll get that mental peace, and it will be good for all. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So you said that truth is very difficult to find, right? Like, but I don't know, I feel that it's not possible for me being where I am and who I am to find truth. I just feel that right now, I don't know, if I am able to find the false in my life, how the Vedas, they talk about the neti neti, right? That this is also not true. This is also like when I see movements within me, wanting me to do certain things or react in a way, but I see that's all is false, right? Like it's like you are right, I'm right, you are wrong, I'm wrong, like, and we are both wrong. Nothing is true in the way we are living our lives. Mostly things are just false. So I think right now, for me, the way I take it is that if I'm able to stay in awareness most of the time and just catch the false in me, I feel that is the only thing I am capable of doing right now. And once, when enough false or maybe all the false has been found, and again, like you said, I don't know how many lifetimes it might take by the grace of God, then I guess maybe we'll experience something that is true, because being me, it seems too far, or I don't know, far or close, but I am incapable of pointing it out or picking it or touching it. Yeah, so just if I'm just able to, identify the false, I feel good work done. Like, because I don't know, it's immense and there's so much work to be done there, at least from where I am and where I'm standing. Yeah, Chitraji, anything, Shilpi, anything if you want to share or add to this?
Yeah, Taru, when Chitraji was sharing, at that time you said that the nature doesn't want us to progress. So I didn't really understand what that means.
So basically, I meant like Maya through nature. You know how they talk about Prakriti, na? Like all Prakriti, they say want is for you to just, be totally where you are, totally distracted and just reproduce. That's what Prakriti wants, to maintain itself. That's what Chitraji, when she had started, there was a quote about this, how the nature doesn't really help you progress because it just wants you to be exactly where you are so that it is assured of its stability. So we cannot depend on it. We say it so easily. I say it all the time too. It naturally it feels like the right thing to do and stuff. But nature is not for my hit. Nature is for it's looking after its, for its own development and stability, and कि वो बना रहे, कि it should be there. It doesn't care if I progress on this path. It just wants me to, carry 10 more kids, and so that it's it is kind of assured of being there for a longer time.
But
And of
nature
course
and
it
Maya, they are two different things or it's the same thing?
I think it's hard to say, but for me I would say that Maya is one of the, I don't know, tools that nature would use, or I don't know, whoever is using whatever, but the purpose of both is to basically, put the veils and distract and, I don't know, take me where I don't need to be so that I just keep living and, kind of ये जो collective consciousness भी, not consciousness per se, but एक जो collection और society का development, that the society should prosper and stuff, the individual doesn't really matter. I could be wrong, but that's my understanding of Prakriti or nature, that it's all about being there, the security, and the individual progress. It's, I mean, it would rather hamper. They say that the females who don't have kids, they actually are punished by nature. They have so many other diseases that, the regular, I mean, the person who's had a kid would not have. So that's its way of saying that, you did me wrong. I don't know how true that is, but they say that, that's the thing. But yeah,
I always
anybody.
thought or understood nature in a positive sense, or Prakriti as something beautiful. I mean, I don't know, I somehow never thought that nature can be pulling us down. Or maybe you mean nature as attractive, I mean, some attraction.
Now, see, one thing is nature is like, the trees and the mountains and stuff, that nature, right? And
Mhm.
one thing is the basic force behind it all, like the force of, say, again, the one who's kind of managing stuff. And I don't know if I should call it the Chitraji, if you could just shed light on it.
Yeah, it is a lower nature actually. Lower nature, higher nature, both of them are there. No, lower Prakriti is there actually. That is what telling you all those you explain, no, about that actually. It is it is the, I mean, very stationed pattern, we can say actually. It won't allow us to go forward.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, that is
So
the
lower
lower nature. Yeah, it
nature,
will pull
Prakriti.
you down again because of the
Yeah.
maybe all the opinions and the people's, yeah, everything is building up and forming that lower nature and it pull you down. That is what I understood actually through experiences and all. It will pull you down, that lower nature. But definitely that higher nature will help you. That is what you explained actually. It is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I too just wanted to add that yes, nature, it does feel like trees and species of plants and animals and all, and that is beautiful. That's dear, and it's supposed to be that man is destroying nature, but the tendencies in man that are leading for man to destroy the trees and the species are also very natural. Those tendencies also come from the same source of wanting it for myself, somehow continuation of my own self or of my progeny. And I also, like Taru mentioned and Chitraji also explained, I also think that if, for nature, for Prakriti, let's say Prakriti and Purush wala Prakriti wants progression. It wants sustenance. It wants more and more replication of the DNA, more copies of the DNA, and somehow progression in the copies of DNA. So as long as we are kind of built into this plan, it's like, you're supposed to continue like that. But the moment somebody kind of stops and questions that what is it and what is it meant to be and why is it like that, questioning the patterns, like Chitraji was saying, at that time, you kind of step back from that Prakriti, and then it's like that you kind of move towards the Purush part of it, which is the stationary observer, and Prakriti is the creative flow that's coming, and that is patterned, very much patterned, and the goal is for continuation.
Another thing that I am reminded of is that, first of all, see, while we are living the life that we are living, we are always kind of occupied with small things, right? Like we hardly have time for, like, why am I here? What is my purpose? How did my day go? Actually, kind of those contemplations. But like once, say, a Buddha, he saw, those four things, like a dead body, an old person, he got awakened that no, I don't want to do this. I want to know more. And then he had to face so many hardships. He did so much Hatha yoga and God knows what. But later on, I had seen a documentary that just before almost he was about to reach the space of Shunyata or Nirvana, lot of kind of powers were thrown at him by nature again, that stop, you have known enough. Now see this, take this, you can do this miracle, you can do this magic. So this I have heard from 3 4 other sources, like people who were sadhaks, that they felt this, that those things were offered to them as a distraction again, okay, don't go further, come back, like stay here, be here, see, you'll be a magician. But
Like
obvious,
Siddhis.
yeah, like exactly, like riddhis, like siddhis. But the a Buddha did not even flinch, right? He said that's not what I want, and he progressed further. So again, that I would say is, the lower natures or the other forces that don't want you to be the truth that you are. Like, yeah.
You
Moving.
mentioned, yeah, you mentioned Buddha, and I brought some commentary by Mother on the Dhammapad today. So, but it's quite large. I don't know which part to extract and read. 1 second. Okay, so there is a okay. I think if somebody else wants to go first, they can, while I identify what part.
I actually had read something really beautiful on courage. So it's a short paragraph if you want to just, sort your thing, and I'll just read that. So it's from the Sunlit Path, page 67, True Courage. So it says that true courage, in its deepest sense, is to be able to face everything in life, from the smallest to the greatest things, from material things to those of the spirit, without a shudder, without physically, without the heart beginning to beat faster, without the nerves trembling, or the slightest emotion in any part of the being. I mean, there's more, but I really, kind of resonated with it, especially, I had just gone through some physical issues with family and all. And when something seems like it can go wrong or bad or where you don't want it to be, the movements that I saw in myself. And when I read this, I was like, oh my God, it's like but to face everything without even, the heart beating faster, or, those, that feeling that you have in your stomach or your chest region. I mean, it's put so clearly that you have to offer it and become stronger than this, right? And face everything with a constant consciousness of the divine presence, with a total self giving to the divine, and the whole being unified in this will. So, of course, like Mother says, that there are different parts of you at different places, right? And they all will have to kind of progress for you to progress. And the physical, it feels, is really still, because how Mother talks about fear, that it's in the very cells of you. So, how to remove that fear from your system or your being? Because fear can only come if you don't have the faith, right? Like someone who actually has just faith, that's it. Everything will be as it's supposed to be, or Mother is taking care. Like, how can that person have fear in their body? And the moment you again and again and again see this, it feels that it's not complete. You have to again bow down, bow down, bow down, bow down, and it feels like such a continuous process. That, yeah. There's more, but yeah, this was the thing that stuck for me. And there's more, like just after this, there's a small paragraph on pain and pleasure as well that goes with it, and what Captain Karak was also sharing, that pleasure vaporizes us, it deceives us, leads us astray. Pain brings us back to a deeper truth by obliging us to concentrate in order to be able to bear it. When you're so happy, you want to share it with people. You want to, I don't know, you talk loudly and you're just jumping, and it's like you can't contain it, and it has to be out. And then again, you fall back to the low, whatever the low energy. But pain, it forces you, right? It says that you have to give me attention, otherwise it would not happen. And I think that's the same thing they talk about, like chronic diseases, like especially the big ones, that you can't ignore it anymore. You have to pay attention to the body. This morning only I was talking to somebody who shared that she was facing so much pressure at work. Like, she had joined an organization with a certain expectation, but with the COVID and all, her whole responsibilities changed, and she just couldn't leave it, because in such kind of a time, how can you leave a job? And yet every day was a struggle for her. And then a very serious autoimmune disease started for her, till she basically stepped back and said, "Okay, this is too much, I can't do it." And she left. She gave the resignation, and the autoimmune disease kind of subsided. So how much the body is able to tell us that, "Arey, stop, too much is already happening," but we want to shun it for as long as possible. So I'll just finish with this, that pain brings us back to a deeper truth by obliging us to concentrate in order to be able to bear it, be able to face this thing that crushes us. It is in pain that one most easily finds the true strength again when one is strong. It is in pain that one most easily finds the true faith again, the faith in something which is above and beyond all pain. So that was like, again, the sunlit part, page 68, pleasure and pain.
And about that fearlessness, no, again, Mother beautifully she is explaining. Each one has his own difficulty. For instance, a being who must represent fearlessness, courage, a capacity to hold on without giving way before all dangers and all fights. Usually, somewhere in his being, he is a terrible coward, and he has to struggle against this almost constantly, because this represents the victory he has to win in the world. That opposite quality will be there. Yeah. This is very encouraging for us, actually. Because in these times, really that fear is taking us, eating us, no? Yeah.
Yeah. And the same thing one feels in mother's prayers, right? Like she always says that the lower movements or the lower nature would be there, the lower forces would be there. And every time you come low, you will be rising higher. So don't fear it, don't condemn yourself, don't criticize. Yeah, see it and learn and yeah. Yeah, Shilpi, are you want to go next now? Have
Yeah, so this is Mother's commentary on the path, the Eightfold Path of the Buddha. So I won't read the extract from a Dhammapad, otherwise it will get too long. So I'll just read the Mother's commentary on it, a part of it. So she says, here are some very useful recommendations: moderation in speech, control of the mind, abstention from evil actions. This is very good. But here is something radical, but it is also very good. As and quotes, as long as one has not rooted out of oneself entirely the desire of a man for a woman, the mind is captive, as dependent as a suckling on its mother. And finally, quotes again, root out self-love, as one plucks with his hand an autumn lotus. These are good subjects for meditation. These recommendations seem to have been meant for people who are just at the beginning of the path from the intellectual point of view. We can easily imagine a gathering of country people, people with simple minds, to whom one has to say, listen carefully. It is no use making plans, for you do not know what will happen to you tomorrow. You are amassing wealth, you are taking your ease money, you're taking your ease among your family, you're making schemes for tomorrow and for the day after, and you're not aware that death is on the watch and that at any moment it can fall on you. All the same, there is slightly more advanced stage of intellectual development in which these things need not be said. One must live them. Live in the consciousness that things are altogether impermanent, never become attached. If you are to be free to progress with the universe and grow according to the eternal rhythm, this one understands. But what is important is to practice it. Here one has the impression that these things were told to people who had never thought of them before, and so they had the full power of an active force. After all, in spite of all appearances, humanity progresses. It has progressed particularly in the mind. There are things that are no longer needed to be said, or else one must go to the countries that are at a very even so. Ideas have spread everywhere, the mental light has spread everywhere, and in the most unexpected places, one finds instances of receptivity and understanding. So, and then there is one more extract here.
Shilpi, because it became a bit long, would you like to just summarize it?
Yeah.
Got
What I got from it was this thing that Mother is again pointing out to how we actually live our lives without the reminders that are right in front of our eyes. And here she's talking about the very basic things that we are still, caught up in the man or the woman, and amassing wealth and child and dependence on things and people of this world. Whereas what she's talking is what Kabir also says, that the death is right at your door and you're not even awake to that fact that at any moment it can be here. So I think that's what I got from this extract.
Something about self-love you mentioned, what is it actually?
Yeah, it said root out self-love.
Okay.
But she also says that this is for the people kind of initiating their journey. And what I understood from that is kind of this inordinate amount of attachment to ourselves, our needs, our comfort, my family, my needs, all of those things. That's what I understood.
Correct.
And I think just to add a little bit on this, like Chitra was saying that these times, they are bringing out so much fear. Like what you just said, that because we forget the truths of our life, right? Like death is my truth. Like I came with an expiration date, right? But now when I hear somebody leaving their body every other day, that death has become more real. Like you can't ignore it anymore, right? That it's not that you are going to one funeral in 6 7 months and you can just think, how does it matter? So this thing that you can't ignore it any longer is what I feel, that uncertainty which always is there, the death which is always is there, can come any second, like won't even take a second. So it's really amazing what this times, they have the potential of doing. Yeah, so Shilpi, you can go on with the next one.
I think it's kind of continues and is a bit long term. So maybe somebody else can share and I can come back to it.
Okay. So Ritu, do you have any thing that you read that you would want to share today?
Yeah, I'll just take 2 minutes and I'll take it out. I read something very nice in the morning. I'll
Okay.
just that.
While she's just taking it out, I just want to share something. I found a very beautiful talk by the mother. I think in 1912 that she had given on thoughts, like identifying different thoughts and how to you, because if you don't see where they are coming from, it's very difficult for you to choose what thoughts to think, or what things to let go and what to hold on to. So I think next Friday, like since it's already 7:45, we can maybe, like every time we meet, we can take 1 or 2 pages. It was really beautiful and it was very detailed. I think that thoughts, because that's what we are occupied with all day, deserve that much attention. And if we'll do it together, I think it would be really nice so that we can reflect together and contemplate. So we'll do it from the next session. I will share it on the group in case one wants to read it beforehand, and then we'll take it.
Yeah, so I have it here with me. I'll just start from there is explanation in the beginning. It's from a talk, and so it has a context. So since I'm just mentioning few sentences here, the context might not come out so well as it was spoken. So it's about it was in Hindi, so it's about pratna, that how important the prayers are. So the prayers, they help us in dhyan. So a lot of times, I used to wonder, I didn't even know what to pray for. So it gets very confusing. What is it that I really want that I should be praying? So when I read this, it kind of, I really liked it. So it basically says, say ईश्वर से हम जो प्रार्थना करते हैं, it should be something like कि हम असत्य में फंसे हैं और हमें सत्य का अनुभव कराइए। हम अंधकार में फंसे हैं और हमें ज्योति का अनुभव कराइए। हम अज्ञान में हैं, हमें चेतन की तरफ लेके जाइए। हम मृत्यु के भाव में हैं, हमें अमृत से एक कीजिए। मृत्यु here would mean impermanence. So move us from impermanence to permanence. And at the end, it says, हमारे सामने आत्मा के रूप में प्रकट हो जाइए। So these 4 lines I found very beautiful.
Yeah, so basically, Ritu, for Chitra ji, and I don't know if Captain Karuk can understand Hindi. So basically, I think it just reminded me of, Astu Ma Sadgamaya. Chitra ji, are you aware of this mantra? Ritu, if you want to just say it in English in your own words so that we can all hear it again.
Yeah, so the first one was that हम असत्य में फंसे हैं, आप हमें सत्य का अनुभव कराइए. So basically that means is that we are all trapped in falsehood and what is not true. So take us towards the truth, make us experience what the truth is. The second is that we are kind of surrounded with darkness, so you take us towards the light. The third one is that we are trapped in ignorance, you take us towards Chaitanya. That's the ultimate knowledge of ourselves. And then we are saddened because of the fact that we are going to die. So that's like impermanence. That impermanence kind of troubles us. It makes us sad and fear. So take us towards permanence. Amrit ki taraf le jaiye. Amrit would mean something which never dies. And the last one is that you yourself come and stand in front of us and make me one with yourself, so that I can see that what I am is not this limited being, but I am like the Akash or the omnipresent. So it's very deep. I might not have understood everything, but then it sounded very beautiful.
It seems you have understood everything. It's like at the face of it, it's very simple, right? We know we live in falsehood, right? And so it's just
Yeah.
praying to take us to the truth. We know that you said kind of surrounded. It's not kind of. We know we are surrounded by darkness and dark forces. So take me to the light. Na? So for each, it might be different, but yeah, it's really beautiful. And I mean, this is my favorite mantra, like Astoma Satgamaya, because I think this can be nothing beyond this. And if the whole life is just spent in with this mantra, with that as, my goal or my prayer, that is enough. Like that would be a life well lived.
Yeah. So what is this you were mentioning? Which mantra?
So that mantra Astoma Satgamaya Tamsoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityuma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yeah, it's very beautiful. It's a basic mantra. Yeah. No, I don't know what a basic mantra is. But
In the central schools, actually, this was the prayer in the morning. Whenever the school, so this was the Sanskrit slokas, the mantra.
That's so beautiful.
One thing I remembered to say, Captain Tarak said early somewhere that maybe in this lifetime, truth is something that cannot be known, but there is that intention. And Taru very beautifully explained that, the truth cannot be known, but the falsehood can be known. And I don't know why, but I just felt like I had something came up. I just felt like I had to say it, that each time I see something in the other, I see something that disturbs me in the other. That is what I am in that moment. Like if I see somebody as rude or disrespectful, then it is actually the person in front of me is nothing but a mirror, and they're reflecting my rudeness and disrespect back to me. So, and again, if I see somebody like, when I see somebody and I feel like, yes, this is the highest that a human birth can be, then that also is there here. So, so yes, it is very difficult to know oneself, and yet the Lord that created the game, the Krishna or the Ram that made this whole game, they gave us a lot of clues at every step. And yeah, whenever we are overjoyed looking at somebody and see that, yeah, I wish I was that, then I am that in the moment. It is here. And when I look at somebody and say, I completely hate this person, he's just disgusting, and it is me who's being disgusting in the moment. So I just wanted to share this.
Yeah, thank you, Shilpi. Last time we had read again something from the Sunlit Path with the same title, which said, Others are a mirror. So, Mother had spoken on this that, whenever you see something exactly what you were saying in the other person, just know that that's in you, maybe in a veiled way or in a different way. And as soon as you catch it, just go within and see ki what in me is reacting to this, because the others are just mirrors. There's no other way. It's not even possible that even one movement that you're able to see in the other person, both good and bad, is not in you. So again, one can use it as, like so much bad is in me, like you were saying, but also so much good is in me, right? Like whenever I hear something that seems beyond, I just feel so, I don't know, grateful that, oh, this is also my possibility, kind of a thing. And it really changes everything, right? That, okay, I might not be there right now.
Yeah. And it's no wonder that when we read somebody like the mother or some other guru or teacher that we connect with, it's no wonder that we kind of just fall in love with them. And it is because, we kind of falling in love with our own selves, our own highest possibility. So yeah, I think so. Spending time with what the mother has said, what what any of the teachers have said is such a good way to spend time with that part of ourselves that is knowing, you know.
So we have almost reached at the end of the session, and just from the other Tara Mirror, we had read 2 paragraphs last time, but since I have it open right in front of me, I just read 2 more so that there's so much beauty in this. So it says, take all the things which irritate you as a lesson for yourself, and your life will be more peaceful and more effective as well, for a great percentage of your energy certainly goes to waste in the irritation. Especially, when you lash out or when you just catch it, that, again, that vibration that mother was talking about courage, one feels when one is angry or irritated, and you would like to realize in yourself. So, so basically, sorry, irritation you feel when you do not find in other the perfection that you would like to realize in yourself. Realize what you have to do and do not concern yourself with what others do, because after all, it is not your business. All those around me, all the circumstances of my life, all the people near me are a mirror held up to me by the divine consciousness to show me the progress I must make. Everything that shocks me in other means a work I have to do in myself. And perhaps if one carried true perfection in oneself, one would discover it more often in others. So we did read the last part last time as well. So perhaps if one carried true perfection in oneself, one would discover it more. So it's a very good reminder, because we often feel it's my job to, change the world and make it better. And the one we forget to focus on is ourselves, right? Because we feel, oh, I'm all sorted, let me change the world. But again and again and again, mother tells us that if there's, if you want to do anything for the world, make that change in you, take you to peace, and that's your role in the world. So beautiful.
Yeah,
So the job is to change the world, but through myself.
Yeah,
The
because
path
I am
goes
part of
through
the
me.
world. Yeah, Chitraj.
Yeah, about the current was not okay. Electricity, no, I can't read because about the truth. I have two or three lines from Sri Aurobindo's one of the poems, Goddess.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Let it come. I will read and I will finish that. I think it will come now. Just gone. Electricity.
We can wait for the truth.
Yeah, only 4 lines. Yeah. It's very beautiful. Actually, I was reading this line again and again just before the session. Yeah, I will read those lines. It's very beautiful. And since Captain said about the truth, these are very apt lines. Yeah. What shown thus far above is here in us. Bliss unattained, our future's birthright is. Beauty of our dim soul is amorous. We are the heirs of infinite widenesses. The impossible is the hint of what shall be. Mortal, the door to immortality. It's very beautiful, no? These lines, yeah. Our Godhead calls us. This is from that poem, shared in those poems.
Would you be able to send this in the group as well?
Yeah, I will
Yeah.
photo. Yeah, take the photo and send
Perfect.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were some more lines, but because of time, I just ended up with the 4 lines actually.
Okay. So I think that's
Thank
it for today. Unless there's any other comment from anyone, we can wrap up. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Tarun.
Okay.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. Bye.